edge and make some cash. That's why we're bringing in our fearsome foursome today. It's the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, CBS Sports college football analyst Jon Berger, and CBS Sports college football writers Chip Patterson and Barrett Sallee. All right, guys, we're going to keep it short on my end since we really are here to hear what you think about these things. We're going to start with Texas A&M, somehow still in the top 25 after losing at home to Appalachian State last week, favored by 5.5 against a ranked Miami team. Kenny, lead us off. What you got? Where's the edge?
I'm playing the total in this one, and I think Texas A&M trying to kickstart their offense. Max Johnson, the new starting quarterback, the LSU transfer, I think is going to help kickstart that offense, and that Jimbo Fisher knows he needs to put points on the board. They've been awfully weak in the first couple of games. Not many plays, very few plays, 53 plays per game, well under the average. Their defense has been on the field a lot this year. Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback for Miami, outstanding. I think Mario Cristobal is doing a nice job there. He's going to build a really good offense and a great offensive line around Tyler. So I'm going over the total there. I think it's very, very low for a college football game. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Ooh, living a risky life, jumping on the other side of the Wizard of Odds, but I am on the under here, and I am on it with a lot of confidence. You might say the change from Haynes King to Max Johnson does improve Texas A&M's offense. It also limits those turnovers, which would help Miami get easy scores because Max Johnson's going to take care of the ball a lot more than King, and that's where the power of this under lies in the Miami offense and what I think is going to be a really, really tough night against this elite Aggies defense. Miami loses Xavier Restrepo, the #1 receiving option, and really somebody who is responsible for a lot of Tyler Van Dyke's targets and receptions so far this season. I think the inability to have real weapons on the outside forces Miami to lean on a running back room that's a little bit banged up. Guys, I just don't know how many points Miami is going to score in this game. Their best hope is to try to limit Texas A&M and turn this into a low-scoring rock fight. And so, therefore, I am comfortably taking the under in College Station.
Well, I agree with everything Chip said about the under, and the reason it's going to be a rock fight is because Texas A&M is just flat out not going to take any chances with its offense because I don't think they trust Max Johnson. It seems like Jimbo Fisher really wanted to make Haynes King that dude, and it just didn't happen. And now I think he saw last week against Appalachian State, his offensive line is terrible too. His defensive line, not very good, which is crazy considering all the talent that he's recruited there. So if they're not going to win the battle in the trenches, they're not going to win the game. And so I think that if you have to look at which side to go on, you go with the best quarterback, you go with the first-round draft pick, and you go with the team that can control the line of scrimmage. That's the Miami Hurricanes. Grab the points. You won't need them because Miami's going to win it outright.
Woo! I love it. Good stuff, fellas. I'm going to take a little bit different macro perspective on this. I'm going to put 2 bets down. I'm going to take A&M on the money line. I am going to take Miami in the points in this game, but I don't think this has anything to do with trust in Max Johnson. I think there's other things at play here. And look, at the end of the day, if you follow the Big 12 and you follow the SEC and you follow Texas A&M and these kind of situations that they've rolled up in the past, look, it's time for the 5 stars to step up. And it's time for the NIL guys to step up. And it's time for that coaching staff to make a statement game in College Station. You've got arguably the top fan base in all of college football. You've got unlimited resources. And when I tell you they're unlimited, if they fire Jimbo Fisher tomorrow, it'd be a rounding error in the grand scheme of things. So I think at home, night game, embarrassed last week. Think about if you're sitting there in the A&M locker room, App State comes in, they put 315 yards of offense on you to your 186. This is a pride thing, fellas. You can roll all the numbers up that you want to. The analytics are screaming certain things. I get all the talk about the quarterback position and what Miami's going to do and they're not going to do. The end of the day, this is a pride thing. Miami rolls up in there. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I don't expect there to be a clear edge either offensively or defensively in the trenches up front at the point of attack. I just think Max Johnson comes here. They probably should have made this change a week ago. This guy's a veteran quarterback. He's not going to shy from the lights. And this team, Texas A&M, steps up under the bright lights, gets the win. I am going to take Miami in the points. Going to be a tight game, but that's the direction I'm going. I just think it's going to be a different deal this week.
A couple of ranked teams in College Station. Another battle of ranked teams going on between number 12 BYU getting 3.5 at number 25 Oregon. The over-under is 58. Chip, and I should also mention you are the host of the Cover 3 podcast. Chip, you are up first.
I'm going to take BYU in those points, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that this Oregon team is just not on par with the rating, with what we thought coming into the season. You know, Dan Lanning shows up. There's plenty of talent on that defensive side of the ball. You know, 5-star linebackers, 4 stars on the defensive line. But I think the performance is a little bit middling. And I think that the performance last year was a little bit middling. And I think what it chalks up to is an opportunity for Jaren Hall and this BYU offense, which is getting healthy at the right time, to be able to score some points on the road in Autzen. And so it is BYU's offense against Oregon's defense where I see the greatest edge for the Cougars. So to be able to get 3.5 points in a game where I think the Cougars are going to be able to score without much resistance, I think that is a great opportunity. BYU will need to be better against the run than they were against Baylor, as the Bears were able to move the ball on the ground in the second half of that game. I think that's what Oregon will want to do. But Jaren Hall, wide receiver room getting healthy, the Cougars will score points on the Ducks and cover this spread.
Yeah, I like BYU as well. You know, always an older football team, very mature. Most of these kids were on a Mormon mission for 2 years. So a lot of these seniors are 23, 24, 25 years old and have families. And they said after the Baylor win, they celebrated. And everything I read was, you know what, back to business. We're going to be focused on Oregon. We want that game. And it's a good football team. And Kalani Sitake has done a very nice job. Also, you know, Dan Lanning, we're gonna you know, keep an eye out for him and see what he does this year, because some coaches are meant to be coordinators, some coaches are meant to be head coaches, and we'll find out if Dan Lanning's a head coach or not. This game's gonna build a lot into that, but I give a huge coaching edge to Sitake. I like Jaren Hall. Gunnar Romney will not play today, but you know, they found another star last week, and that's what happens. I always say wide receivers are a dime a dozen, and Chase Roberts stepped up 122 receiving yards, even threw a touchdown. I think Nakua comes back today, which will be big for Jaren Hall. I just like the way this BYU team's playing. I think they're very focused. I thought they should have been the favorite here. I think Chip's right. There's a lot of question marks about this Oregon program right now.
I think this one's easy, guys. Look, when you're a physical team and you're a tough team, and BYU is, that travels well. You become immune to a lot of things on the road, and that's true for both the BYU team and any team in major college football. That doesn't go away because you get on an airplane in a bus. Understand that BYU last 4 games against Oregon's won 3 of them. They're 2-2 against the spread. If you watched the game last week, not only is this team tough up front at the point of attack on both lines, they've got perimeter players. They can run the football. When they get into jam, they can get the football downfield vertically, right down the seams, right in the heart of that defense. I don't know what Oregon is offensively. I'm still trying to figure it out. They showed up to play Georgia. I didn't see anything offensively. I didn't see Bo Nix do anything offensively. I don't think Oregon offensively scares any defensive coordinator right now. I think this is a relatively easy pick. Tough travels. Take BYU. I think they get it done.
John, you mentioned you didn't see Bo Nix do anything against Georgia. I saw exactly what Bo Nix is against Georgia. He's the same dude he was at Auburn. Inconsistent, takes too many risks, and I don't think Dan Lanning trusts him. I certainly don't trust him, but I don't think Dan Lanning does either. So I think they try to make this as ugly as possible, and if that's the case, that plays right in, like you guys said, to what BYU does best. That's win a battle at the point of attack on both sides of the ball. Yeah, they're not completely healthy, but I think Jaren Hall, in this case, more consistent quarterback. BYU knows its identity certainly more than Oregon does. I don't know if Oregon will ever figure out its identity because I don't think Bo Nix will let them. So take BYU. Don't worry about the points. Take the money line. The Cougars win. And I think make a pretty big statement, because I just don't see how they can really be threatened by this Oregon team at all. I just think that matchup-wise, this is a terrible, terrible spot for the Ducks. I don't care that it's in Autzen.
A lot of strong opinions there, Barrett, Chip, John, Kenny, thank you very much. That's a look at the 2 games featuring ranked teams on both sides of the field. Let's recap those picks before we head to break. Remember, 4 guys making picks. They all have differing opinions. Sometimes they will agree, but they always have good reasons behind it. BYU seems to be a big favorite amongst our guys. In fact, all 4 picking BYU in some form or fashion. A little bit more of a back and forth on the Miami and Texas A&M game.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.